and why alpha is overrated. This is something that I wanted to talk about for a long time, and something you might be a little surprised to hear me talk about, but it's a really, really important concept to understand and for you to internalize, and has brought me massive value in my life. So, in the manosphere or men's personal development movement, you hear a lot of talk about being alpha, acting like the alpha male, um, all this type of stuff. And on the whole, I think it's an important concept to understand. It's stuff that I talk about myself on my site, in terms of getting women and getting money, increasing your rank in our tribal hierarchy through being able to project dominance and confidence and building up your body are all important pieces to the puzzle. Because despite this facade of civilization, we are still very much human animals. And women respond to primitive dominance cues through attraction, and men respond to primitive dominance cues through respect. But being alpha is not always the right move in the modern world, because the modern world literally exists specifically to control the alpha male. Our rulers understand that alpha males are the only threat to their monopoly on the use of force, and as long as alphas are kept under control, everyone else falls in line. Okay? You might see all this tough talk from feminists and beta males on Twitter, but that amounts to a whole lot of nothing. The only thing governments care about is maintaining power, and the only threat to that power is a group of alpha males picking up guns and starting a revolution. Okay, and every government is acutely aware that any type of unauthorized violence, because a government is nothing more than a monopoly on the ability to use violence, threatens their very existence. And let's get real about what a real primitive alpha male is. It's not this heroic concept that a lot of guys talk about in the blogs. A primitive alpha male can be a really good guy, but he's just as likely to be a violent killer and unrestrained by a superior force, a superior government force. From Alexander the Great to Genghis Khan, even a casual look at history will show you the type of carnage that an unrestrained primitive alpha male can cause. But today's world is very different from that. It's very unlikely that a Mongolian guy on horseback is going to be able to take over a third of the world in his lifetime. It could happen, but I probably doubt that that's going to be the case. Because with the help of a massive technological advantage that governments have now, and all of their ability to use the media to control people's minds, they've become exceptionally good at controlling their populations. And instead, the most primitive alphas are most likely to end up dead or in jail. And for all but a few, their instincts are just too difficult to control in a world that is not designed for them. Okay, and the ones that can control themselves usually end up becoming slaves to the machine. They still use violence as a way to earn their living, but it's as a modern day gladiator for wealthy promoters, or cannon fodder for corrupt politicians, or as meat shields for wealthy businessmen to live comfortable lives. Don't get me wrong though. Okay, don't get me wrong. Any man that's willing to fight and die for his country and what he believes to be right is braver than I am and has my full respect. And I know some of you guys might be soldiers, and if you're doing what you think is the right thing and protecting your country, all those guys have my full 100% respect. But unfortunately, that man that thinks he's dying for his country rarely dies for what he believes in. He usually dies as a pawn for an immoral and corrupt oligarchy that run the country to enrich themselves and their friends. That's the truth, and you can look throughout history. That is a constant. Okay, that's why this manosphere's obsession with alpha worship, I think, needs to stop, because the true primitive hardcore alpha male doesn't even fucking read blogs. Okay, because he's dead or in jail or in Iraq trying not to get his fucking head blown off by terrorists. Okay, that's the life that a primitive alpha male lives, and to me that doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun. Okay, because our world is not built for primitive men. You got to understand that. The world we live in today is not the jungle. Our world is a knowledge-based economy. Okay? And what I mean by that is we're not ruled by the biggest, toughest guys anymore. We're ruled by the smartest guys. We're ruled by guys like Bill Gates. Okay? And looking at Bill Gates, there's nothing alpha about him. Okay? He could not command respect in a tribal hierarchy that is ruled by brute force. He has alpha instincts and alpha characteristics, no doubt, behind his drive towards success. But in terms of how he stacks up to a primitive alpha male who's able to command respect from his sheer presence alone, it's not even close. You know, in the article to this video and audio, I've got a picture up of Jocko Willink. Jocko Willink is a former Navy SEAL commando, and just by looking at that guy's face, you know that he has a job related to combat in some way. There is no way that he's not a soldier or an MMA fighter. It would be impossible. Okay. You know, in the savage jungle, a guy like Bill Gates would be washing Jocko's loincloth, you know, let alone leading the tribe himself. But in our world, guys like Jocko are more likely to be working to keep Bill Gates and his family comfortable and secure and happy in their little bubble. You know, you look at someone like Mark Zuckerberg, who's one of the strongest advocates for gun control laws, and yet he spent $20 million last year on private security firms to protect him and his family, who no doubt are carrying automatic weapons. Those are the guys who are in charge of our world. Mark Zuckerberg, same as Bill Gates, does not look like your intimidating alpha male, but he has the fucking brain to succeed in the knowledge-based economy. So what I'm trying to get through to you guys is that most primitive alphas don't have lives worth emulating, because success is about brain power, not about brawn. Okay, success in a knowledge-based economy is not about who's the most alpha. It's about who's the best player in the game of life. And it's very, very, very important to understand.